felony aggravated assault. For a moment in time, that was the headline attached to the top prospect in the 2026 draft. Gavin McKenna saw that he could get drafted by the Canucks and said prison is actually better. Before the draft, Gavin McKenna was second on Team Canada at the World Juniors, had one of the coldest photos in college hockey history, with 74,000 fans behind him. Then that night, he knocks a guy out at a bar, beats a felony charge in 48 hours, and 3 weeks later, drops 8 points against Ohio State with 7 primary assists. And somehow, there are still people saying he shouldn't go first overall. And so here's the real question. Is Gavin McKenna still the undisputed #1 pick, or has everything that happened this year blown this draft wide open? Let's go back to the beginning, because if you've only been following the headlines of McKenna, you've missed the whole setup. He's from Whitehorse, Yukon, middle of nowhere. And in 2022, Medicine Hat takes him first overall in the WHL draft, the first player ever from that territory to go #1. Then he shows up and earns it immediately. 4 points in his WHL debut, and from there, the production never stopped. In his rookie year, he puts up 97 points in 61 games. WHL Rookie of the Year, CHL Rookie of the Year, and he's doing this as the youngest player on the ice every single night. Then, the next season, it gets stupid. 129 points in 56 games, led the league in assists, started a point streak that ran 54 games straight, and modern CHL record that passed Connor Bedard, WHL Player of the Year, CHL Player of the Year, third youngest ever to win that behind Sidney Crosby and John Tavares. And it carries into the playoffs. He gets 38 points in 16 games. Medicine Hat wins the WHL championship, and he's the engine the whole way through. And then he goes to the 2024 U18 Worlds and stamps it internationally. 20 points in 7 games, a hat trick plus an assist in the gold medal game against the US. And so for a long time, there's no debate. He's the pick. Then the landscape shifts. CHL players become NCAA eligible in 2025. NIL money shows up for hockey players for the first time, and Penn State, coming off a Frozen 4 run with momentum and money, offers McKenna nearly $700,000 to come be the face of their program. And McKenna takes it, which sounds like a business decision, but it's actually a bet. Because in the WHL, he can hold the puck, slow the game down, and still win. The NCAA is different, with grown men, real physicality, and 23-year-olds who don't care about your point streak. And that's exactly what the NCAA was about to test. Real quick, today's video is brought to you by the Victory Hockey League, which is now celebrating its 19th year of operation, heading into its 104th season. You create your own player, start in the minors, and work your way up to the pros. You earn attribute points by doing press conferences, prospect reviews, podcasts, graphics, and spend them to make your player better. Long enough, you've got a Hall of Famer. But honestly, that's not why people stay. We live in a time where most people are kind of not connected. VHL's Discord is open 24/7. Great people, all ages, and you can hop in anytime and just talk hockey with people who care about it as much as you do. That's a rare thing now. The link in the description, somebody will be there to get you started whenever you jump in. Now, back to McKenna's first NCAA shift, where things didn't really go exactly to plan. So here's what happens when you take the best offensive player in junior hockey and drop him into a league where grown men have been waiting all summer to make your night miserable. The adjustment hits fast. Less space, less time, and the board battles aren't optional anymore. That's the whole sport. Early on, and his 5-on-5 isn't popping the way anyone expected. The power play still looks like him, give him a second of space and he can still pull the strings from anywhere on the flank, but at even strength, it was choppy. Shifts where he touched the puck a ton, and the end result is just a rim, a turnover, a puck battle he just doesn't quite win. And the critics started coming in, not just about his hands, about his habits. Too much time on the outside, a little late on the defensive reload, floating when the game gets physical. And in the draft circles, that turns into one question. Can you trust him? Because teams don't just draft points, they draft what coaches can live with for 82 games. And the second you ask that question out loud, challengers start getting oxygen. Ivar Stenberg becomes a safe argument. He's playing his second straight season in the SHL, a real professional league, against grown men near a point per game with Nicholas Backstrom comparisons. And then you have Christian Verhoff, a right-handed defenseman with size and mobility at 6'4", already logging heavy minutes and running North Dakota's top power play as a freshman. Right shot D with that skill set, teams chase that forever, and he's doing it at 17. So for the first time in 2 years, the top of the 2026 draft actually feels like a conversation. And that's when the World Juniors hit and the tone flips. Because in 7 games, he gets 14 points, 2 player of the game nods, and he doesn't just rack up points, he looks angry out there. Purposeful, like he's touching the puck to make a statement every single time. Canada wins gold, and McKenna is the engine. He comes back to Penn State a different player. Over the 12 games after World Juniors, he puts up 25 points. More contact, the Penn State coaching staff starts trusting him in more situation, and he's playing 28 minutes some nights. And then January 31st happens. Beaver Stadium, an outdoor game with 75,000 fans. Cameras everywhere. Penn State loses in overtime, but McKenna looks like the face of the sport. And only hours later, the headline drops.
Yukon-born hockey player Gavin McKenna has been charged with assault.
McKenna gets arrested at a downtown bar. A felony aggravated assault charge gets filed, and for 48 hours, that's all anyone sees. But here's what actually happened. McKenna was out at a bar with his team and family after the big game, and some drunk 21-year-old starts saying disgusting things to McKenna's mom. People try to de-escalate, but it doesn't work. So McKenna hits him with the 1-2 and breaks his jaw. The second that detail comes out, public opinion flipped overnight and Free McKenna starts trending. 48 hours later, the DA drops the felony. But it doesn't matter how fast the charge gets dropped. It doesn't matter that most people sided with him. NHL front offices don't operate on public opinion. Now it's brand risk, trust risk. Do we want this tied to our logo for the next decade risk? Every team that had McKenna locked at number 1 is now running a different calculation. Because the on-ice questions were already there. The soft shifts, the perimeter habits, the defensive efforts. Now there's an off-ice headline sitting right next to all of it. And the scouting community doesn't move fast. They wait, they watch, and they want to see what he looks like when he comes back. Can he focus? Can he look like someone a coach trusts? Can he go out playing like none of this happened? And that's why February 20th is sitting there on their calendar. Pagula Ice Arena, Penn State versus Ohio State. McKenna's first real game back with the whole hockey world watching. So February 20th hits and you can feel the weight of it before the puck drops. This isn't just McKenna's back. This is prove it while everyone's watching. Every scout who moved him down a spot is now tuned in. Every front office that spent 3 weeks asking, can we trust him, is about to get an answer. And what he does to Ohio State over 60 minutes is a full argument. 1 goal, 7 assists, 8 points. A Big Ten record. Most by an NCAA Division I player in 39 years. But here's the detail that actually matters to scouts. All 7 assists are primary. There was no freebies, no second touches. Every single goal traces straight back to his decision, his timing, and his pass. That tells you he wasn't collecting points while the game happened around him. He was dictating the entire thing. Craig Button put it cleanest. Gavin McKenna's number 1 in puck possession in the NCAA, and it's not even close. The game tilts because McKenna decides where the puck goes. You can see exactly how he does it. He holds the puck on the wall longer than he should, baits a defender into committing their hips, waits for one stick to reach 1 inch too far, then he threads a hard flat pass through a lane that looks completely closed until it wasn't. That's the modern Patrick Kane feel everyone keeps describing. It's the quiet stuff, the hold and release, the pass that makes a good shooter into a problem. And then, this part matters too. It doesn't stop at 8 points at a headline. The next night, Penn State is down 3 goals, McKenna pulls them all the way back and scores the overtime winner. So now it's 2 straight nights where he's the reason why Penn State wins. Not one crazy game, a back-to-back statement. Then, after one of the goals, he hits no other than the professional bar fighter Conor McGregor's patented strut celly. Conor McGregor co-signs it, and suddenly, it's not just on hockey Twitter, it's everywhere. And if you're in the front office, that selling matters. Not the dance itself, it's the fact that after 3 weeks of getting painted as a villain, after the arrest, after the felony headline, and after the whole hockey world sitting back and watching, waiting to see if he'd shrink, he went louder. Doing the McGregor strut not even a month after a bar fight is genuinely so nails. Craig Button never moved him off number 1, and he says it publicly.
Macklin Celebrini playing in the NCAA, he was brilliant. Jack Eichel was brilliant in the NCAA. I don't think Gavin McKenna will be anything less than brilliant.
Chicago Sun reports the Blackhawks shifted from skeptical to interested after this performance. And after 28 games, McKenna sits at 43 points, the exact same point pace as Macklin Celebrini at the same mark of his draft year. His points per game since the World Juniors puts him 4th among NCAA draft eligibles in the last 30 years, behind only Fantilli, Eichel, and Celebrini. That's the company he's keeping now. Here's what makes McKenna different. It's not the 8 points, it's not the highlight reel, it's the fact that every single time the story tried to change on him, the NCAA adjustment, the doubters, the felony headline, he grabbed it back every single time. A kid from the middle of nowhere in the Yukon who became the most talked about prospect since Bedard, and is Bedard's cousin, who bet on himself, took the NCAA money, got tested, got knocked down, and came back louder every single time. That's not just talent, that's wiring. And if you're sitting in a front office with the 1st overall pick, maybe that's the guy you want. So drop a like, comment, and subscribe. McKenna or Stenberg, who are you taking with number 1? I'd love to know.